Ladies, it's your time to shine with all things fabulous with First for Women on Afternoon Express. For insurance with a host of fabulous benefits, call 0861 11 18 44 or SMS FIRST to 49267.
Just like that, we say good afternoon, South Africa. My name is Danilo Acquisto. Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Welcome indeed. I'm Bonnie Mbuli. We've got entertainment to keep you warm on this cold Wednesday. Today on the show, it's all about dads, specifically stay-at-home dads. It's a trend that's actually increasing in popularity all over the world.
Yes, you might think it's quite controversial. So we've not only brought one, but two fathers into the building who are staying at home and are the dads at home. And I'm very excited to chat to them about their journey because I'm sure it must be something quite challenging.
And you yourself have aspirations of becoming a stay-at-home dad,
I want my kids to say their first words to be Dada, not Mama, no, Daddy.
One other dad we speak to who doesn't stay at home as much because he's traveling the world being a rock star is blues guitarist, internationally acclaimed blues guitarist, South African indeed, Dan Patlansky.
And he goes for a live performance, which I'm very excited about. And if you guys love blues music and you want to know more about the music business behind blues music, make sure you stay tuned to that interview later on. But we're not joined just by ourselves today in the building. We've got back from, back again. Oh, good. Jeannie D's in the kitchen.
Our hot and fabulous co-host.
Thanks, guys. Hello, and it's so good to be back in the loft. I've just come back from a dream trip to Cologne, Italy, where I was invited to be a guest to the start of Taylor Swift's world tour, and I got to hang out with James Bay. It was amazing. But it's so good to be back, and it's so good to be in your company. But today in the kitchen, we have Woolworths food product developer, Sharon Munlambi. So thank you so much for coming through. And today you're going to be making something that truly does speak to my heritage. What have we got?
Oh, I've got a lovely dish here over here. Yes. I'm going to be preparing a Portuguese peri-peri chicken, which is my favorite. And it's so easy to cook because everything is just in the bag. You just put it in the oven and roast it. And then I've got some sweet corn, which we'll prepare as we go along. I'll be roasting some potatoes as well, and we'll finish it off with some Greek salad.
Absolutely delicious. I'm looking forward to tucking into that. So we've got two Portuguese peri-peri birds in the kitchen today. So remember to join with us, cook with us today. So be sure to visit our website, afternoonexpress.co.za, and on there we'll have our shopping lists and the recipes so you can cook with us as we go along. But also be part of the conversation today. We are asking you, what do you think of stay-at-home dads? Do you think that fathers are just as good as moms when it comes to raising and nurturing children? So tweet us on Afternoon Chat using the hashtag Afternoon Express, and of course post comments on our Facebook page, Afternoon Express, and of course you can also give us a call on 083 913 3728. So welcome to the show. Let's hook up with Danilo to see who he's got on our couch.
Oh, Jeannie, it's so good to have you back in the building. So we're having a very exciting opportunity today on Afternoon Express to have in our loft one of the most talented and accomplished musicians in the country. He's a blues guitarist from Joburg. His name is Dan Patlansky. And for those of you who may not be aware of this amazing ability that this guy has and the success that he has achieved in South Africa and across the world, just take a small look at this.
Bring the world to his knees. The mind changes, fade my evergreen.
South Africa, now that is what I call musical talent, and I've been waiting for this moment for a while to catch up with this gentleman because he is an absolute legend and has really taken this industry by storm because you've not gone the commercial route. Dan Patlansky, welcome to the loft.
Hey man, thank you so much for having me. What a pleasure to be here.
Listen to that voice, eh? He doesn't even need to say anything, just like that, and you're done. So, Dan, you've had an incredible career so far. You've, on your 7th album, 8th one hopefully coming very, very soon.
Yeah.
And your career has just really exploded. I managed to catch your show at Rocking the Daisies last year, and you just blew everyone out of the water, I think. Your talent itself just speaks volumes for the man that you are. Where did this whole love for blues and music begin? And where did you realize that this was the career path that you were going to follow?
Well, you know, blues is a weird thing for a young guy to get into.
Yes.
Right? It's so niche. But my parents listened to the blues, classic rock, you know, all blues-inspired stuff constantly when I was growing up. That's all I heard. That's all they played in the car, at home, wherever, you know. So, you know, I really got into this kind of music, and it was all guitar-driven music. So I picked up a guitar like quite early on, and the most obvious music to play was the blues because I grew up listening to it. I felt I kind of knew it already. So that seemed to be the thing I really felt at home with, you know, which was strange for a teenager in the 90s, you know what I mean?
And what was exciting about your career is obviously you took that love for music and a true essence of a musician, went the commercial route too, joined the labels, and then started making money off your music, and then you sort of removed yourself from the labels. And that's fascinating for me because I think you didn't necessarily want to go the commercial route and try and turn your sound into an electric sound and try and sell it on all the radio stations. What was the rationale behind that?
Well, for me, going independent was like one of the greatest things I did because I'm a niche artist, right? I don't sell platinum amounts of records, never will, because, you know, it's not a kind of commercial sounding product, right? So to have a label taking 80% of your money, you know, versus your sales, it just didn't make any sense. But as a niche market artist, by going independent, I get to choose exactly what I want my albums to sound like, what I want them to look like, the songs that go on the albums, and I can actually earn a living out of the albums because I'm not selling these mass amounts, you know. But I tell you, being commercial is an important thing, I believe, you know, to a certain extent. I don't necessarily believe it's by putting necessarily electronics into your music or anything like that. It's just about doing something slightly different to kind of get noticed.
I think the different thing that you've done is that you've taken your music very seriously. You haven't taken it and said, look at me, I'm a big star. You've said, I love the music so much. When I've watched you perform, the way you just close your eyes and just get straight into the music and you love it so much. Is that passion dying in the South African music industry at the moment? And are you trying to bring that back to life?
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think, you know, the South African music industry it's an emerging industry. It's a baby industry, you know what I mean, compared to the rest of the world. I think the talent in South Africa is ridiculous. I think we've got like bucket loads of talent. It's just about, you know, people supporting local talent more and more. And just also getting into that live music culture, you know, of actually going out to see live music. You know, in Europe, that's culture. You know, you've grown up doing that. Here, it's a little bit different, right? So it's just about getting that into the thing, and that will just increase the passion for musicians when they're seeing results at the end of the day from what they're doing.
And you seem to have got the formula right, which I'm very excited that I hope a lot of South African musicians are going to follow your journey and just see what you're doing with the business side of your music itself. And the very big exciting thing for us on Afternoon Chat is that we get to express a little bit more about your brand new tour with an incredible artist. And I think for people who want to know more about him, please share that journey with us.
Well, yeah, this is kind of like a dream come true for me. I mean, we've been touring Europe quite a bit. It's really tough there, but now we're on tour with like one of my favorites, a guy called Joe Satriani, who's like a very big legendary guitar player in the world, like one of the top 3 legends. And, you know, we're touring with him throughout Europe and the UK. And, you know, we're doing arenas with the guy. So that really kind of, for me, it really kind of jumpstarts things, you know, across the pond for me,
Absolutely. I think it's almost, you've done so well with yourself so far, but this would probably be your career highlight, I think, moving forward as you go on.
Without a doubt, man. I mean, you know, before it was, you know, supporting Bruce Springsteen in Joburg, which was fantastic. But this is like guitar player kind of territory. And I grew up listening to Joe Satriani, and you know, to be kind of acknowledged by him and to be able to expose myself and my music to his audiences. I mean, what a dream come true, really, yeah. Without
and you're busy working on your next album, I understand?
Yes. So we're planning on releasing that in early 2016. And you know, in the next couple months, I'm going to be taking a bit of time off just to actually get a few songs together, so I don't arrive in the studio with nothing.
Sure, that's exciting. I think everyone in South Africa is excited to see what you're going to be up to next. I think keeping that sound natural as you go forward. In terms of family life, we speak and say particularly about stay-at-home dads. You have a big passion for your family.
Yeah, without a doubt. I've got a 1-year-old daughter. You know, it's tough being a musician because you away a lot, but the upside is when I'm home, I'm like properly home, you know what I mean? I'm not...
You're all in there. You're with the Barbie dolls, you're in your dress, you're in your...
I'm not going to an office every day. So when I'm home, I really kind of put my hours in, you know, and it's absolutely fantastic, yeah.
Oh, awesome. Well, it's a pleasure to have you in the studio with us today in our
cheers.
loft. I'm very excited to see you perform later on, so he's not going anywhere, South Africa. You can tune into the show, 083-913-3728, if you do want to chat to him live on air. So make sure you stay tuned till the end of the show, because Dan will be giving us an exclusive performance that you definitely do not want to miss out on. And after the break, Jeannie gets Portuguese in the kitchen. And don't forget to join the conversation on social media. Today we are discussing stay-at-home dads. Are you one? Do you know one? What are your thoughts on stay-at-home dads? Maybe one, you are one, or maybe you know one. I think I said that already. Don't forget, at Afternoon Chat on Twitter using the hashtag Afternoon Express. Comment on our Facebook page or give us a call, 083-913-3728. See you after this.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. Now, if there's one thing in the world that I think very few people love or don't love, it is delicious roast chicken and roast potatoes. And today we're doing the best chicken and the best patat, the Portuguese style. So welcome to our kitchen. Now, how do we get started?
Okay, it's so easy because everything has been done for you there. It's in a roasting bag. All you need to do, you just need to unwrap that and put it on the tray, and it can go straight into the oven.
Okay, great. So which tray do you want me to do?
Yeah, you can put it on that tray.
All right. The fact that this Portuguese chick can make this Portuguese chicken means that anybody can do it. So.
Okay. While you're doing that, I'll be mixing the butter with the thyme for our corn. What I've done to the corn, I've just parboiled it so that it cooks quickly. And then you just need to smear that onto the corn and wrap it in foil like we've done over there.
Okay, great. So it's a thyme butter.
It's a thyme butter, yes.
And
I haven't seasoned it because I've just used salted butter.
Look how juicy this looks. It's already been marinated for you. So you literally just take it out the bag. Let's try and get as much sauce out of it as possible. There you go.
Yep.
Delicious. Okay, so that's ready to go.
That's
and now the thyme butter is
Yes.
wrapping our millies.
Okay, you can finish this
Amazing.
off and smear more
Sure.
butter while I prepare more potatoes. With the potatoes, what's nice, you can do them from raw. And it will just take slightly longer. What I've done to speed up the process, I've just parboiled the potatoes for like 10, 15 minutes,
Yeah.
strained them, and then I'm just going to finish them off.
Do you know what? You're actually saving my life, because do you know how many times whenever I meet people, they say, oh, you're Portuguese. You must be amazing in the kitchen. And I kind of just sit there going, well, no, not really. So you are actually helping me a lot, because I can do this by myself.
Yes, you can actually do it at home because everything has been prepped. So with the potatoes, what I've done, I'm just going to season with salt and pepper. And then I've got chopped rosemary here, which I'm going to sprinkle as well.
And it all goes together in the oven like that?
You can just put it together in the oven.
Excellent.
And then I'm going to drizzle a little bit of olive oil.
I'm putting a lot of butter on here. Is that okay?
That's okay, because it's going to melt and you'll be getting the corn anyway.
Okay.
And then this is just ready for the oven.
Fantastic. All done. All right. Nice and quick and easy. There you go. Remember that you can cook with us. Visit our website, afternoonexpress.co.za, for our shopping lists and our recipes. But for now, let's join Bonnie in our very own garden.
Good afternoon and welcome to the first of our Fresh Pack Natural Goodness series. As South Africans, we all know and love Rooibos tea, but how much do we actually know about our heritage brew? Joining me now is Liesl Bygate, who's going to tell us more about our favorite tea. Welcome, Liesl. It's
Thank you,
lovely
Bonnie.
to have you in our conservatory.
It's lovely to be here.
So, what is the history of Rooibos? How did it come into being?
Well, Rooibos was actually discovered over 300 years ago by the Khoi people. They discovered that the leaves of the plant could be brewed to make a refreshing beverage. In fact, Rooibos is unique to the Cederberg region in the Western Cape. It's the only place in the world that it's ever been successfully grown. And these days, it's harvested and grown pretty much the same way as it was 300 years ago.
Oh, that's incredible. And how is it produced?
Well, the seeds of the plant are sown in around February and March, and then they're lovingly nurtured in a nursery for 6 months until they're ready to be planted out in the open fields. And it then takes them a further 18 months to grow and mature into the Rooibos plants that are then harvested. And they're placed in big heaps out in the African sun and left to ferment naturally Just by the sunlight.
Wow.
In fact, that is when the leaves take on that gorgeous orange color of
Yes,
rooibos,
yes.
and it develops this beautiful sweet aroma, which is a great attraction for all the bees in the area.
Bees, of
Yes,
course.
and that's in fact how they know that the rooibos is ready.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's an all-natural process.
How does rooibos differ from other black teas?
It's actually a completely different product. You can see by the color. It's a
colour.
beautiful golden color. It has a very distinct aroma and flavor. It's much sweeter, in fact, than black tea, and that's because it's got a lower level of tannins than black tea. That's the stuff that gives black tea that bitter taste.
Right, yes.
It's a fabulous source of antioxidants as well, and probably its best known benefit is that it's naturally caffeine-free, which means it's suitable for babies, for children, for pregnant moms. And that's why freshback rooibos today is one of the most popular beverages for families in South Africa.
Oh, thank you so much, Liesl. That's so insightful.
Thank you.
Fresh Pack. Goodness comes naturally.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express here on SABC3. Stay-at-home dads. It's a concept that has grown immensely in popularity over the last decade. Traditionally, the man is the breadwinner in the household, but with the vast improvement in gender equality across the world and women having greater opportunity in the workplace to achieve financial success, there's an increasing number of fathers who choose to stay at home and take on the role of nurturing and caring for the kids. Today, we're joined by two such dads, Rupert Kruger and Rafiq Hassan. Welcome to the Loft. It's lovely to have you. Wow, what a courageous decision. And I mean, I'm torn between these two ideas where I'm like, yeah, of course, why not? Why is it different? And then the other part of me is like, but it's so unconventional. How does it work? What led you to make this decision?
You know, my wife and I were actually running our own company together, and my son then came along. We decided between the two of us that we had to, you know, to secure his future and going forward, either one of us had to find a permanent position again. We decided in the beginning that it would be whoever gets the best possible job, that person would go with the position,
Right.
and the other parent will be at home and stay and be the parent.
Right. And I'm sure it's not a decision that happens overnight. It's a process. And yourself, Rafiq, how did you come to this decision?
I've been doing this for 14 years. Unfortunately, mine is not such a happy story. Myself, my wife, and my youngest daughter moved up to Johannesburg in 2001. And I'm in IT, my wife is a chartered accountant, so we both had jobs lined up in Johannesburg.
Right.
With us moving up to Johannesburg, we needed somebody to look after the baby. And we went around interviewing au pairs and all that. And then, unfortunately, an acquaintance of ours, son, kept on getting sick, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong. And then the child actually had, because the nanny had breastfed the child growing up, the child had developed was HIV positive. And as a parent, when you hear things like that, how do you decide both parents go to work and leave the kid at home with the nanny? So, unfortunately, I was the one that had the duty of staying at home and looking after my daughter. And I've been doing it ever since.
So this story moved you to such an extent that you felt that you didn't want to see anything like that happen to you?
I mean, we take the responsibility of raising our kids, and,
Yes.
and unfortunately, it's not a good story, but we decided, both myself and my wife, that there's only one way to do it. Either she stays at home or I stay at home. And unfortunately, the company she was with threatened to take legal action against her if she reneged on a contract.
Yes.
So I've been at home ever since.
Wow. What do both your wives do?
My wife's a buyer in the fashion industry.
Okay. And your wife's a CA?
CA, yes.
Yes. Okay, so take me through a day in your lives, from the morning, the minute you wake up.
Well, my life, I think, begins the night before. I have to seriously plan what is going to happen throughout the day, because I have to work around my child's routine, because he's still quite young. It's his birthday tomorrow.
Oh,
He's turning 2. And because of the sleep routine and when he's supposed to be fed, we're very much routine orientated. So, yeah, from waking up in the morning, there's a lot of playtime first. With the business, I have to do a couple of calls here and there as well.
Because you run a business from home.
Yes.
Right.
And yeah, it becomes a little bit tricky and challenging doing both at the same time. I think when I pick up most of the work that I'm supposed to do is during his nap time, and we're lucky enough that he actually sleeps for about 3 hours in the afternoon. So yeah.
Are you so lucky?
No.
No.
I am. My morning starts at 6 in the morning. I wake up, I give my girls breakfast. I have 3 daughters, by the way.
Oh.
I get them ready for school, prepare their lunch, and then once I drop them at school, my morning is free until 1:30 every afternoon.
Oh, wow.
And then that's when I really start the hard work, because it's extramurals.
Tidying up and, yeah.
It's extramurals. No, I'm fortunate enough that I have a domestic. So
Yes, and that helps a whole lot.
It does.
What does a decision like this, what kind of impact does it have on the relational dynamic in your marriage?
I have to admit, honestly, in the beginning it was quite a hard realization, especially, with society making it...
Socially, I can imagine.
Yes. I think there was quite a lot of hurdles that myself and my wife had to overcome in terms of, okay, so who's the breadwinner here and who's going to be doing the laundry and all of those kind of things.
Did you ever feel judged by people around you?
No, I don't really feel that. I think with the people I surround myself with, they're quite open-minded with that.
Right.
Quite interestingly, they think that it's, quite forward-thinking for the dad to be staying, stay at home. But, there was a lot of hurdles that we had to overcome. But I think we spoke a lot about it, and we set certain boundaries in place just to know whose role is what during the day.
Yes. And yourself, Rafiq?
We came up against a lot of opposition, family-wise,
in your
because
community.
it's a big thing for a husband to stay at home and the wife to be the breadwinner. So we had issues initially. My wife didn't handle it very well.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, it's who puts the food on our table. Are we happy? Like Rupert said, it's the decision that you make as a married couple, that this is what's good for the family, this is what's good for your kids.
Yes.
So that's how it's been.
Well, kudos to you guys for your strength and your courage to do this. But we're going to chat more about this later and unpack it. Cool. So now many of us have dogs as pets, and we all know how their behavior can have a massive effect on our families and homes. Animal behaviorist Bernice Jaffe firmly believes that the key to understanding your dog's behavior is to understand your dog. More often than not, people misinterpret their dog's actions. For instance, you may think your pet is destructive when in actual fact he's just bored. Sounds like kids. Or you may think your pet is noisy when in fact he just lacks stimulation. Luckily for Diane and Coco, Bernice was on hands to give some life-changing tips.
When it comes to caring for your pets, providing plenty of love is the first step in creating a harmonious life together. Effective guidance and a good understanding shapes the relationship, which is certainly the case for Di and Coco.
Coco is a rescue dog. We got her about a year ago, tiny, tiny little puppy, hugely insecure, lots of anxiety, and a very loving dog, but a very naughty dog.
Although she's a joy to have around, Coco developed some nasty habits. She overwhelmed visitors with her energy and would attempt to play with guests by mounting or biting. Every discipline tactic failed, and Coco would not respond despite Di's best attempts.
My main concern was the biting. I have a lot of people who visit my home who love dogs, but then there are those who don't really. It was becoming so stressful with this biting and tearing people's clothes. So I had to do something.
Correcting this behavior begins by understanding the dog's psyche to competently treat the issue. A calm approach with positive reinforcement works best, which made animal behaviorist Bernice Jaffe the perfect match.
When I go and see a client, I walk inside and I tell them to just let me ignore the dogs. So when I walk in, I don't greet the dogs. I completely ignore them. I'd like to be as unobtrusive as possible without giving the dog any attention, so I can see what the problem is with the dog without me making the dog more hyper or more aggressive or more of whatever I'm there about.
With professional help and commitment from the owner, changes can be made. Bernice teaches the owner the correct method to correct the behavior which they must reinforce with the dog in various situations to achieve their goals.
There's no such a thing as a bad dog as far as I'm concerned, but a bad owner. People walk in the front gate and the first thing that person does is give the dog attention. The dog then learns that every time someone comes over, they get the most amazing love, tickles, hugs. If you teach a dog that nothing's going to happen when anyone walks in the front door, the dog will soon learn to be calm when people come to visit, and only when the dog is calm to give the dog attention, because that's what works. Dogs do what works. Dogs are very clever.
Appreciating the dog's intelligence and rewarding it for positive behavior will quickly dispel any bad habits and create a happier relationship in the home.
When I go and see a client, I walk in with a magic wand. Unfortunately, I take my wand with me. So I leave the house, and whatever I've done in that session has to be continued after I leave. So if I tell a person, for example, ignore your dog when your dog jumps up, and the minute they leave, someone comes to visit and that person gives the dog attention, it isn't going to work. So it's all about being consistent.
I experienced firsthand how following Bernice's teaching to the letter quickly settled Coco's behavior, and this puppy's gone from biting to blissful to have around.
The difference in this dog now, having worked with Bernice, is inexplicable. She is calm, she is obedient, she is loving, she doesn't jump on anybody anymore.
Sometimes it's not a matter of a dog having to learn new tricks, but rather owners who benefit from the help of an animal behaviorist and change the relationship with their pet for the better.
Sit. Good boy. Beano, keep their tails wagging.
Welcome back to Afternoon Express. So we're in the kitchen with Woolworths food product developer Sharon Bonambi, and we're making Portuguese roast chicken and potatoes. The chicken is still in the oven. We've taken the potatoes out because Sharon parboiled them, so they almost finished. Now with the chicken, you can also leave it in the bag. I kind of got a bit excited and took it out of the bag, but you can leave it in the bag as well when you're cooking it. So now we've got the potatoes. What are we going to do to them before we get to the salad?
Okay, as the potatoes come out of the oven, you need to sprinkle some Parmesan cheese just to add a bit of extra flavor, and some parsley, which I've already chopped for you.
Delicious.
So while you're doing that, I can start with the salad.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. The chicken's going to be absolutely delicious, even though I took it out of the bag. But you know, basically, I'm like an adult cat. I could take care of myself, but I probably shouldn't. So there you go. Parmesan all over the potatoes.
Yes, and
bit
some
of parsley.
parsley.
Oh. I mean, can you put too much on?
No, it can never, ever, ever be too much. The more you put, the nicer the potatoes.
Okay.
And over here, I've just mixed a wild rocket together with some spinach, and I've dressed that. It's so important to actually dress your
And what
your
dressing
leaves.
did you use?
I've got a Greek dressing. Remember, I'm making a Greek salad.
Of course.
And then I'm going to be adding a bit of...
Sharon is fully worried about me in the kitchen today.
Cucumber, and then tomatoes, and then I've got some olives, and then I've got some feta cheese.
I was actually supposed to be making the salad, but I think after you saw me with the chicken, you were like, Jeannie, actually let me take care of the food today. Otherwise, nobody in the loft will be eating today.
And if you feel you need extra dressing, all you do is just drizzle that afterwards.
Excellent. Thank you so much. That looks amazing.
Oh, it's great.
Fantastic. Let's go back to the couch because Danilo and Barney are chatting stay-at-home dads.
Welcome back. We're on the couch with stay-at-home dads Rafiq and Rupert, and now we're joined by educational psychologist Anel Anandale, and she's here to discuss the psychological impact of being a stay-at-home dad, that it has on the family and the community. Welcome.
I think it's very exciting to be having this conversation. So, Anel, welcome to the loft. It's very good to have you here today. Let's break this open because it's something that I was listening offset about this. What is happening to the married relationships in the 21st century? Are women starting to take control and getting, or kind of becoming the breadwinners and the homemakers? Are we seeing that shift or are we not seeing that shift?
I think we are, and thank goodness for that.
Okay.
How awesome that we can actually discuss this as a topic, you know, that we are turning those gender roles on their heads.
Yes.
But it is difficult. I think, like you've both said, it's very, very tricky.
Yeah.
We've got to think on how that impacts, you know, on the marriage relationship.
Yes. But besides the impact on the relationship itself, on the individual itself, what is then happening to masculinity and femininity in the way we're moving forward in the 21st century?
I think that all depends, again, on the person's self-esteem. You know, it needn't affect your masculinity or your femininity. That's a part of who you are. That's not the whole of you. And if we can, I think what really it comes down to is if it's a choice, whether because of your circumstance or whether, you know, something that you wanted to do, if you make that choice that this is what I'm going to do and I'm going to give it my all, it needn't affect your masculinity or femininity at all.
How does it affect a couple's social world? I mean, do you find that you need to suddenly maybe change the circles that you hang around in and maybe befriend other stay-at-home dads? How does it work?
Well, when I started this, there wasn't a lot of stay-at-home dads, so I didn't have the choice that, like you said now, maybe I should make friends with. So we basically kept our circle of friends the same. I mean, yes, there was a lot of fun poked at our relationship.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, it's the decision we made as a husband and a wife.
Yeah.
And if you don't like it, then get out of the kitchen.
And you made this as a team, I think.
Yeah.
I'm going to put myself out there. Earlier on, I said to Danilo, I don't know if my husband was a stay-at-home dad, if I would still find him sexy. And I'm just going to put it out there.
And
Have you
I did
confronted
disagree.
those kind of questions?
Yeah.
I thought that any man looking after a child makes a woman think he's
That is
completely
sexy.
sexy.
Thank you.
That
That's
is
the
sexy.
same thing. And in a married relationship, you are a team. You're working in this thing together.
Okay.
Well,
I
it's
think-
different when you see a dad walk in the park with their child. That looks cute and sexy. But when you're living it every day at home, I mean, what happens? You come home, say, and your husband's moaning about the dishes, moaning about the sick child, moaning about this. When the tables are turned, what is it like? I'm just talking reality here, okay?
Okay.
I'll play the devil's advocate.
Yeah. I think we kind of maybe need an intervention. Guguletu from Midrand. I hear you have something to ask or an opinion to share with us right here on Afternoon Express. First of all, welcome to the loft.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. And yourself?
I'm okay. My personal view about being staying home there, I think it's a good idea because there's this day volunteer to change babies' nappies. I say go ahead, dads, take care of your babies, take your babies to school and do all that. Let mommies go out there and explore with their businesses.
Oh, awesome. Guguletu. Power to the men that stay at home, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, woohoo.
Awesome. Thank you so much for tuning into the show and for your opinion.
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Are there differences between when mom is staying at home and when dad is staying at home? Is there anything that the children share about that?
I don't think, well, specifically from where I come from, I don't think should really be a difference. I think when you have that role to play at home, like whether you're masculine or feminine, it's the same role, and you do it to the best of your ability.
Yeah. I can throw a big spanner in the work
Please
here,
do.
guys. You're not going to like this. But what is very interesting is that the studies actually show that even when a woman is the primary, you know, breadwinner, whatever, quite often we find that they still come home and do 70% of the housework.
Oh, now the truth comes out.
I would like to disagree on that.
Strongly.
We have in my household, maybe that's unique, but my wife comes home, she goes upstairs, she gets undressed. When she comes downstairs, supper is prepared. The kids set the table after years and years of drilling, and they set the table. So there's no such thing as, because my wife goes to work 8 o'clock in the morning and she works till 5, 6 every evening. What type of husband would I be if I had my wife come home and prepare food for us as well? So my role, yes, I have a domestic at home, but my role Monday to Friday is everything that my wife would have done if she had to be at home. That's what I do.
Rafiq, we're going to clone you.
I love that.
Yes. Right now we have a caller on the line. Hello.
Yvonne, hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good
Welcome
afternoon.
to the show.
Thank you.
My point of view on the fathers at home is I firmly believe God has given children two parents.
Yes.
And two parents are there to play their duty. And whichever one stays at home to support the family, that is right. As long as the child has a positive upbringing and a good teaching, there'll always be love for him.
I think that's well
take
put.
my hat off to those men sitting there because housework and playing mommy is not an easy job. I think you as a mommy know, my dear, it's not an easy job. So I really say thank you, Lord, for men that are worthy to sit in chairs and say, I take care of my children. It's one of the most beautiful things.
Thank you,
Sure.
Yvonne. Well said.
Thank you for sharing that with us, and thank you for being so vulnerable on the show with us on Afternoon Express. It's really good to have you part of the family. Thank you.
Are there situations where the mom comes home and feels guilty about not being there and working so hard?
I think we were discussing this as well. There's a lot of opportunities that they've missed with the kids, little milestones that they weren't there for, that traditionally dads were missing out on. So it is a very difficult thing to try and negotiate. I think really the thing to get back to is to look at it, like you said, as a team. Between the two of us, what are we getting right? Look at everything we've achieved, and revel in that.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much.
I wish we could continue this conversation forever, but we can't.
Yeah, let's go to an ad break, and when we return, let's see how our two peri-peri chickens are doing in the kitchen.
South Africa, are you with us?
And we're back. Welcome back to Afternoon Express. We're speaking about stay-at-home dads at the moment on our couch. We have Anel joining us in the loft. I'm very excited to have this conversation because we really were stirred. I particularly was stirred about this married relationship between the man and the woman and that sort of reversed role and how that really does affect our communities. And Bonnie, I was speaking off air about this idea of the man needs to hunt, right?
Yeah, I mean, what happens to the man's need to hunt and the woman's need to nurture when those roles are reversed?
I think in essence, they're still really there. Maybe not in the traditional sense,
right.
But women are still nurturing by providing, by giving what your child needs. If we think about men, the hunter-gatherer sort of men, let's think about leaving the next generation, procreating, leaving a legacy.
Yes.
So some of it is still there, but slightly different to what we're used to.
I can imagine. And the sort of relationship between you and your wife, your wives in plural, when that conversation first got started, did you feel like you were working together as a team, or did you feel kind of it was a, why me?
I don't know. Do you want to take us?
The thing is, at the end of the day, what's important is your kid.
Yeah.
So that's it. Bottom line, your child is the most important thing, and everything else just falls away. It doesn't matter, because as long as your kid grows up to be healthy, well-educated, all-round child, then you don't have anything to worry about.
And are there some psychological or in terms of life benefits from having a father raise you as opposed to a mother raise you?
I think it's huge to have a parent at home already. Just to have that is great.
Yes.
Funny enough, there was an interesting study that showed that the better the relationship between the father and the child, the happier the entire family.
Wow.
So it seems to impact all around.
That's incredible. Yeah.
I wonder what you guys are thinking on Facebook. Zarina Ali on Facebook says, my son is just 2 years old and he is a handful, but my hubby teaches him, plays with him, tells him stories, baths him and helps him to potty train himself. He does everything I do and he even cleans up. So it's nice to see fathers getting involved in such a context.
Haley Carla Jacobs says, of course dads can do a good job as mothers. My dad looked after me all alone since I was 2 years old, and I'm 18 today. He's the best dad ever.
Can I say that is something that I worry about? She says they're doing the best role as mothers, and that's not the case. We're not replacing the mother.
Yeah.
I think the father's acting like a mother, but he's acting like a father. He's stepping up to the plate
like a
and
parent.
rearing his child.
He's acting like a parent, really, yeah. And Yusuf Gallant says dads can do a good job if they become hands-on dads. And all that starts when a woman is pregnant. That's when he becomes a mom and dad, and when he starts to take good care of mother and baby. Good one, Yusuf.
I love that. On Twitter, we're moving across now to MT Ray of Philan SA, longest name I've ever seen. Afternoon chat. Dads nurture just as well as moms do. My dad did. He had to be both both the mom and the dad after my mom passed away. Hashtag Afternoon Express. And then we also have at Prez_Ndolase says, 1 minute ago, there was a name there in South African afternoon chat, men were created to provide, not the other way around. So father should protect and provide for his family. So showing a slightly different view there. And I think in our country, that is part of, it's built into our culture. The man must provide, the man must be the head of the household.
Yeah.
And this is where we have probably daddy wounds and a lot of those sort of issues.
And what's coming to mind is provision is not just financial. It's not monetary. Provision is it's a circumspect experience.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's so much that dads can teach children that moms generally don't. Why? Dads are generally more relaxed and mommies are like, oh, everything has to be like this. So you definitely benefit from that.
Are there days when you're just like, you know what, this is so hard. I miss the corporate world and can I just go back now?
Yeah, it often happens. Normally I just take my little break in the afternoon, sort of, maybe my wife gets home and I need to quickly go down to the shops to get whatever.
Right.
And I'd normally sit in the car for about 10 minutes. Just no radio, nothing, just stare in front of me.
Just do debrief.
Yes, and I mean, just having that again gives me breathes new air into just carrying on.
Awesome, guys. Well, great advice, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us on The Loft today and for sharing your story. I'm sure it must, other dads wouldn't come forward and say this because they would have felt emasculated. You are the new generation of men that are taking care of our households. So thank you so much for your presence today.
Thanks.
Let's pop over to Jeannie and see how that
Is my food ready?
chicken is coming.
Oh, guys, we do have one serious chicken in the kitchen. Now, Sharon, I was quite a liability in here with you today, but look how glorious this turned out. I mean, look at that. These potatoes are everything, and this chicken. In fact, you're going to be so happy with this, but I actually checked my Twitter feed during the break, and there were a good couple of people that were saying, oh, dinner plans have changed for tonight. We are going to be making this for supper. So remember, if you want to do that too, visit our website, afternoonexpress.co.za, for this recipe and all of the ingredients. And unfortunately, you don't have Sharon hiding in one of your cupboards at home to mix it up for you. But if I could do it, you could do it. So let's go and serve our guests. And then I've got another little surprise for you. Guys, how amazing does that look?
It's so far.
Because you've got to reach, because I've got something for you first.
Yes.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, performing Feels Like Home live in our loft, I give you the incredibly talented Dan Patlansky. Enjoy.
Yes, I know myself. Yes, I know myself. Yes, I know myself, know myself, know myself. 'Cause I feel like home, yeah.
Oh. Absolutely. Dan, come have a seat. That was absolutely incredible. If I was your wife, I'd make you a stay-at-home dad. I wouldn't want you to go anywhere.
That was amazing. Live. Oh, my
Thank you so
word.
much, my brother. Really appreciate that, man. Thank you so much, man.
Incredible.
Cheers.
I sometimes sound like that when I wake up in the morning, like, you know, Joe Cocker, Rod Stewart. It happens, it's nice.
When I first started out on radio, I used to pretend to smoke because I thought that would make my voice nice and gritty. How does it get like that? Is there a trick?
Age.
Age. Oh, is that what it is?
How do you
get
it?
I got and I'm hoping that would make my voice gritty. Yeah, that's what I did.
That is terrible.
How do you get your voice like that?
You know what? It's weird. My father's got a voice like this. My brother. It's kind of like a hereditary thing. It seems. Yeah.
Wow. Can they sing though as well?
My brother can. Not so much my dad. Yeah. he's like a big music fan, but not really a performer of any description. Yeah. Yeah.
You must be so hungry. Please, by all means, dish
No,
up.
how amazing is this chicken? I literally slaved
so
all
much.
afternoon for you.
Oh, it looks fantastic.
We also have a caller on the line, Yvette. Hi, Yvette,
Hello.
are you there?
Good in yourself.
Hi, Yvette.
Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Thank you for having me.
What's your question or comment, Yvette?
My comment is just to say, thumbs up to the stay-at-home dads. It's really difficult. I've been in a situation where my husband had to be a stay-at-home dad, and I had to be the mummy providing. It was very difficult, extremely. I don't know how to express how difficult it is, because you're having to look at your husband as the person who now has to cook the meals and take care of the kids and wash the kids and clean the house and do all that, and I'm not fond of doing all that, and you have to support them through that and be a mom also on the corporate world. You know, it's really difficult. So to every dad who is out there being a stay-at-home dad, keep it up, and oh my God, it's difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult because I think it's so important for people to enjoy what they're doing. Like if you are going to be a stay-at-home dad, you can't kind of begrudge that role that you've been doing and then feel emasculated, I suppose, would be quite...
You would hate yourself, so I agree with that. I think all the dads deserve a big pat on the back if they stay at home.
Yeah, and it was great to hear from a woman who's experienced this and has a different view of it or a different experience. So...
Absolutely.
What is your view on this, Dan? What is your view on having a guy stay at home? Because you love your kids.
I'm all for it because I mean, when I'm not on tour, I am a stay-home dad. You know what I mean? It's and I have to be, because if I'm not, I will never see my daughter. You know, because you know I'm away so much and I'm on the road so much. So when I'm back, I kind of try and dedicate like every minute to my daughter, you know what I mean? So, and I kind of dig it. It is tough work, it is. There's no doubt about it. It's a shock to my system every time I come back to tour, from tour, because I'm not baby fit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You kind of like...
She's grown and she's bigger than when you last saw her, all that stuff.
And I definitely feel like I'm missing out on a lot of stuff because I'm away. So you definitely put in that extra mile and that extra time when you are at home.
Well, let's have a look and see what you had to say to us on Facebook. Tanya Bezadenote said, what great dads you've had on the show today. You're both doing a great job. Well done. I take my hat off to you both, as you both being great role models for boys all over. And thank you so much for your message, because I think it is so important nowadays for men to be strong role models to other men.
And they're not saying you must prance around in your dress looking after the children like the mom. You're being the dad. You're still going to be a guy at home looking after these kids, and we'll have much better men coming from that.
Should we taste the food?
Please do. Sorry.
Thank you,
Sharon, thank you so much, because this is absolutely incredible. A delicious Portuguese roast chicken and patatas.
So yummy.
I hope you put extra chili in for us.
Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you again tomorrow, and yeah, we're going to do it all again. Same time, same place, SABC3. Good night and happy eating. Ciao. Mwah.
Tomorrow on Afternoon Express, fashion legend Jackie Berger is in the loft to show us how to wear the classic little black dress. And Alexis Chaffee-May takes us through some of the styles unique to each of our major cities.
Another feel-good production.
Join us next time for more fabulous fun inspired by First for Women on Afternoon Express. For an insurance quote, call 0861 11 18 44 or SMS FIRST to 49267.